Welcome. Thank you all for joining this morning. As everyone continues to come in, I am here. We are privileged to receive some information from Mr. Velasquez. He is from Schools First Federal Credit Union. I love Schools First Federal Credit Union. That is my bank as well, and they have always treated me so wonderfully. Uh, Everything is seamless with them. I endorse Schools First Federal Credit Union. So I'm happy to have you here for some financial literacy that we want to get the workshop going for our students. So thank you for making the time, Mr. Velasquez. Thank you for being here. And yes, you already have the ability to share your screen. So let's get started. Thank you.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you so much for your membership. I'm really excited to be here with all of you today. Wish we could do this in person, but most of us are. I know for the most part we're all still working from home virtually, but we can try to make this just as fun and impactful for all of you. And we've had a long-standing relationship with your district, and we're just really excited to be able to support this event here. Today's activity or workshop, we're actually going to be playing a financial education Kahoot game, which is sort of a good review of all things personal finance, from savings to banking to credit. So it's going to be a lot of fun because it's also a learning opportunity. So we kind of get a pulse for what we know, and then some things that we don't know. It's a great learning opportunity. So I'll give you all about a minute to get signed into the game. All right. I think we have, from what I'm looking at the participant list, I think we are all here and good to go. So if you haven't played Kahoot, not only you're going to be given a few questions, multiple choice answers. Some have more than one answer, so be sure to read the entire question. But it looks like we're all ready to go. You get points not only off accuracy, but speed as well, okay? So we have about 51 participants, but for the interest of time, we're just going to go ahead and get started. If you get kicked out at any time, the game pin is listed on throughout the game. So you can still join. If you get kicked out, the game pin will still show up there. So let's go ahead and get started. Question number one, a credit union. Fantastic, all of the above. So I mentioned I work for Schools First Credit Union in our financial education department. And as a credit union, we're very similar to a bank, but we have some differences as far as the way we operate. And one of those big differences is that we are a not-for-profit financial cooperative that serves a common bond of people, where the owners are the actual members or the people using the products and the services. And all of you are eligible to join a credit union. It's just a matter of figuring out which one you may be eligible for. But credit unions, because they serve as a not-for-profit, they tend to offer lower interest rates on loans and higher dividend payouts on savings accounts, and low to no fees when it comes to banking services. It's a really great place to do your banking. So I encourage all of you to look into your local credit union when that time comes for you to open your account. Very good. Question number two, a savings account. Very good. Answers 2 and 3. A savings account, it is a good practice to have multiple accounts for different purposes, and it earns interest or dividends. So when we think about what is the best place for us to store our money, put away our money to help it grow, to keep it safe, a savings account is going to be the ideal account. Okay, so that's something I'm going to recommend for all of you. And a best practice that not only I recommend, but other financial experts recommend, is to have multiple savings accounts for different purposes or different goals. So if your financial goal is that you want to start saving to buy your new car, or you want to start saving for a vacation, or you want to start saving for a game system or a computer or a laptop, set up a separate savings account for that and consistently deposit funds into that savings account to make it grow. You're going to earn interest there. Something that our piggy bank won't give us at home, right? Is that growth in the account, that interest that we earn. It's basically like free money. So take advantage of it, students. A savings account, great way to make your money work for you. All right, question number 3. What is a checking account? Very good. So a checking account is a transactional account used for spending and receiving payments. Okay. So the savings account we know is intended and used to help us save. A checking account is intended to help us transact. So when we make a purchase at our favorite restaurant, or when we withdraw funds at the machine, at the ATM, or when we receive payment from someone, that checking account helps us do that. And each one of those is called a transaction. So there's really an unlimited number of transactions going through this account, whereas a savings account typically just intended for mostly deposits, not too many withdrawals, right? So a checking account is something that definitely is going to help you sort of pay your bills and help you get paid as well when you start working and you're getting a direct deposit, which is an electronic form of receiving your paycheck. So definitely something that you should consider in the near future. Question number 4, the earlier you start saving, the better it is for you because very good. All of the above. So these are all some of the reasons why we want to start saving earlier, because more time means more compound interest that you're going to earn. Compound interest is that basically your interest starts earning interest. And the more time that you have, the longer that you let the fund sit there and grow, the more you're going to have saved, but really just taking advantage of that interest that you're going to be earning. So for all these different reasons, you want to not put off your savings for later, but you can start doing it now. All right, Power Buffalo has a streak with 4 in a row. Very good. Question number 5, if you do not have enough money in your checking account to cover a transaction, it could cause yes, all of the above. So students, when you overspend in that checking account, that account we were just talking about, and you swipe that ATM debit card at the store, and if you don't have the funds in the account, what could happen is it can take your account into the negative. And that's what's called an overdraft. And the consequence of that is that there may be a fee applied for that transaction for not, like it's a penalty, right, for not having the funds in the account. And that can range from $35 to $40, depending on the financial institution. So something that we have to be really careful about and really keeping an eye on what is our balance in the account before we're transacting, before we're submitting payments. What else can happen is if we're writing checks, now checks are another way that we can access funds out of a checking account besides the debit card. And if we're writing checks and we're giving them to people and they go to their bank and cash it, and if we don't have the funds in our checking account to back that up, that check could get returned. A lot of people refer to that as bouncing a check, and that also comes with fee consequences, anywhere from $25 to $30. So we have to be really careful about keeping track of our money, what our balance is, what transactions are coming through. And some of the tools that you can use to help you do that are online banking and mobile banking. Most financial institutions have a username and password that they can set up for you so you can log in on their website and view your account balance, your transactions, transfer money back and forth. And really it's all to hopefully avoid having an oops moment, right? And having your account overdrawn. Question number 6, a budget is. Yeah, a budget is a plan for your income and expenses. It's basically your financial blueprint, right? What is something that I recommend to not only our members but other people who want to improve their financial wellness, that want to reach their goals. One of the first things that you can do, and best things that you can do to implement in your financial life is to start a budget. And it's basically the process of taking inventory of what am I bringing in this month? Okay, what does my monthly income look like after taxes? And what are all of my expenses? What are the things I'm responsible to have to pay for every single month? Okay, things like rent, things like groceries, things like clothing, um, utilities, all these different areas, right? You're putting them down on paper. You can use an app to track them for you, but it's basically just taking inventory of all of these different things, you're going to subtract your total expenses from your total income. And the idea is that you have a budget surplus or you have funds left over so that you can save and invest. But if you're seeing that you're spending more than what you're bringing in, that's not a good thing, right? That means now we have to go back to the drawing board and maybe cut back into expenses in some of these other areas, right? Starting with the non-essential things like maybe entertainment or clothing. So you want to really take control of your finances. A budget's going to help you do that. Okay. All right. Question number 7. To create your budget, you should always use. Stumped you on this one a little bit. We have to use our net income. Okay. So for those of you that may be working, you might know that when you work, you don't get all of the funds that you earn. What you're going to see on your pay stub is you're going to see your gross income at the top, and then you're going to see your net income at the bottom. Okay. Your net income is all of your wages after deductions like taxes, if you're paying for your own medical insurance premiums or contributing into a retirement plan of some sort. That is your true take-home pay. And when we budget, we want to make sure that we're budgeting the money we're actually bringing in and not using gross, because gross is everything that we earn, but taxes still haven't been deducted. So we're not really seeing all of that money. Okay, so that's the distinction that we have to be very familiar with when it comes to budgeting. All right, I think we might have time for one more question, or we have to wrap up our session. But to balance your budget, you can. I think this is a great question to end on. To balance your budget, you can. All right, 20 of you, 25 of you got that correct. Very good. So to balance your budget or to improve your budget, kind of going back to the taking inventory of income and expenses and trying to find some ways to maybe free up some cash flow so that you can save more, get to your goals quicker, or maybe just overall you're someone that may be struggling and they want to sort of improve their financial situation. What can you do? Okay, number one is we have to look for ways to increase income, not limiting ourselves to one source of income, right? Maybe taking on another job, maybe asking for more hours at work or working overtime, but just looking for creative ways to increase our income. Number two, looking for ways to decrease our expenses. Where can we cut back? Looking at the non-essential things, right? Things that we don't necessarily need. And number three is we have to focus on both these things at the same time. And if we do, then that's going to have a tremendous impact on our budget and allow us to reach our goals because we're going to have excess funds to save and invest in our goals.
Mr. Velasquez, thank you so much for this information.
All right, so it looks like we're at time at the top train.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Thank you so much for having me, students. I hope this information was helpful to all of you and that you can apply it in your financial lives. So thanks for having me.
All right, thank you so much. And we will see you for session 2, the workshop
Yes.
2 later on. All right,
Sounds
thank you.
good. Thanks for
Students,
having me.
remember you can go to the exhibit hall. So when you go to the top of your screen, when you go back to the lobby area, go to the exhibit hall. And for the next 20, 25 minutes, you'll have some time to go and check out some different panels and sections. So please go and do that. And then if you're going to attend industry panel 2, that's going to start at 9:55. So see you all back in a bit. Bye-bye.